Picture this. I'm standing at the edge of our backyard, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the perfectly trimmed grass, and I'm holding a worn-out tennis ball that's seen better days. Max, our golden retriever, is bouncing around like he's got springs for legs, his tail whipping back and forth with pure, unfiltered joy. I toss the ball, watching him bolt after it, and for a moment, everything feels just right. My name's Sophia, I'm 32, and this little slice of suburban heaven just outside Chicago is my world. It's not flashy, but it's ours, mine and Jake's. We've been married for 6 years now, and every time I look at our cozy 2-story home with its neat flower beds and the swing on the porch, I'm reminded of the life we've built together. Jake, who's 38, is the kind of man who doesn't just dream big, he makes those dreams happen. He's the director at Nexus Innovations, a tech company that's always on the cutting edge of something I can barely wrap my head around. His days are packed with meetings, late-night calls, and emails that never seem to stop. I've lost count of how many times I've fallen asleep to the glow of his laptop screen in the next room, but I admire him for it, truly. His drive, his passion, it's what drew me to him in the first place. Sure, I wish we had more lazy mornings tangled up in the sheets, sharing quiet laughs over coffee, but I've learned to cherish the moments we do get. When he's home, really home, it's like the world slows down just for us. Our life looks picture-perfect from the outside. The manicured lawn, the friendly neighbors who wave as they jog by, Max barking at squirrels like it's his full-time job. It's all so comfortable. I work part-time as a freelance graphic designer, which means I can set my own hours and work from the little office I've carved out upstairs. It's a blessing, really, having that flexibility. But I'd be lying if I said there weren't days when I stare at my computer screen, designing logos or tweaking layouts, and feel this itch for something more, something unpredictable, a spark to break up the routine. Then there's Ryan, one of Jake's colleagues at Nexus. He's 35, a senior manager who's been working side by side with Jake for years. I've met him a handful of times at company events, those fancy dinners or holiday parties where everyone's dressed to impress and the champagne flows a little too freely. Ryan's got this effortless charm about him, the kind that makes you notice him the second he walks into a room. His smile comes easy, and his wit is sharp enough to keep you on your toes. I remember the last event we were at, how we cracked a joke about the CEO's tie that had the whole table laughing, even Jake, who's usually too focused to let loose. Ryan's just... The morning we set out on this road trip, the air was crisp with that unmistakable autumn bite, the kind that makes you pull your jacket a little tighter. I stood on our driveway, watching Jake haul our suitcases into the back of his sleek black SUV, the early sunlight glinting off the polished surface. His brow was furrowed with focus, a familiar sight after all these years. But there was a lightness to his movements too, like he was eager to get away from the grind of Nexus Innovations for a few days. I turned back to the house, double-checking with our neighbor, Mrs. Harrow, that she had everything she needed to look after Max while we were gone. I'd filled his food and water bowls to the brim, left a list of his quirks, like how he'll hide under the couch during thunderstorms, and handed over an extra key. She gave me a reassuring pat on the arm, promising he'd be just fine, and I felt a little pang in my chest as I pictured his big, pleading eyes watching us drive off. Back at the car, Jake slammed the trunk shut and wiped his hands on his jeans, flashing me a quick grin. "All set, Soph. Let's hit the road before Ryan starts texting me about being late." I chuckled, sliding into the front passenger seat, the leather cool against my legs. Ryan was already in the back, sprawled out like he owned the place, scrolling through his phone with that casual confidence he always carries. As Jake started the engine, the low hum vibrating through the seats, Ryan piped up from behind me. "Hey man, you think old man Carver's gonna survive without us for a week? I swear, If I get one more email about those quarterly reports, I'm gonna lose it. Jake let out a laugh, a real one, deep and unguarded in a way I hadn't heard in weeks. He'll be fine. Probably just sit in his office, obsessing over spreadsheets and muttering to himself. Their banter flowed easily, a rhythm born from years of working side by side, and I couldn't help but smile as I leaned back, letting their voices wash over me. We pulled out of our quiet suburban street, the familiar houses shrinking in the rearview mirror, and soon the cityscape of Chicago began to fade into the distance. The highway stretched out before us, endless and inviting, flanked by rolling countryside that seemed to glow under the morning sun. Autumn had painted the landscape in fiery hues, blazing oranges, deep reds, and golden yellows that made the trees look like they were on fire. I rolled down my window just a crack, letting the fresh air rush in, carrying the earthy scent of fallen leaves. For the first time in a while, I felt content, like the weight of routine had lifted, even if just for a little while. Jake reached over, resting a hand on my knee, his thumb brushing lightly against the fabric of my jeans. It was a small gesture, but it grounded me, reminded me why we were doing this. I'm sitting in the front seat of the SUV, the engine off now, parked on the side of a desolate stretch of road somewhere deep in the forest. The trees loom tall and silent around us, their gnarled branches knitting together overhead, blocking out most of the fading afternoon light. Jake's outside, wrestling with a flat tire, his grunts of frustration and the clink of his tools echoing faintly through the cracked window. I'm staring out at the eerie stillness of the woods, the kind of quiet that feels heavy, like it's pressing down on you, making every little sound sharper. My fingers tap restlessly on the armrest, and I'm trying to shake off this uneasy feeling that's been creeping up my spine since we pulled over. Then I catch it. Ryan's gaze in the rearview mirror. His eyes are locked on me from the back seat, intense and unblinking, like he's studying every inch of my face. My stomach tightens, a knot forming instantly. It's not just a glance. It's deliberate, lingering far too long. I shift uncomfortably, forcing a nervous laugh as I turn my head slightly to meet his stare. "Hey, everything okay back there?" I ask, my voice lighter than I feel, hoping to break whatever this is, but he doesn't answer. He just keeps looking, his expression unreadable, yet there's a heat in it that makes my pulse quicken for reasons I don't want to name. Before I can say anything else, I feel the brush of his hand against my shoulder. He's leaned forward now, close enough that I can catch the faint scent of his cologne, something sharp and musky. My first instinct is to pull away, to put space between us, and I flinch slightly, my heart pounding so hard I'm sure he can hear it. But there's something else there too. A flicker of curiosity, a dangerous spark I haven't felt in so long, not since the early days with Jake when everything was new and electric. My mind is screaming at me to stop, to think of Jake just outside, to remember the vows I made. But my body, traitor that it is, stays still, caught in this web of confusion, and something I'm ashamed to admit feels like thrill. Ryan's voice cuts through the silence, low and smooth, almost a whisper. "You're so beautiful, Sophia. Always have been." My breath catches, and before I can process the words, he takes my hand, his grip firm but gentle. He lifts it to his lips, pressing a soft, warm kiss against my skin, and a shiver runs through me, unbidden. "Let's keep this quiet," he murmurs, his eyes flicking toward the window where Jake is still hunched over the tire, oblivious. He doesn't need to know. I'm frozen, torn between the shock of what's happening and a reckless pull I can't seem to fight. Every rational thought is drowning under a wave of adrenaline, my loyalty to Jake battling this forbidden rush that's lighting up nerves I forgot I had. I should say no. I should pull my hand away and end this right now. But instead, I let him guide me, my movements almost mechanical as I follow him to the back seat. My heart is a drum in my chest, each beat louder than the last, as the windows start to fog with our breath. The distant sound of Jake's tools clinking outside feels like a tether to reality, but it's slipping further away with every second. What happens next is quick, a blur of tangled limbs and hushed urgency, a moment charged with equal parts guilt and exhilaration. It's a betrayal, raw and undeniable, happening mere feet from the man I promised to love forever. I can't even look at myself as we come together in a way that's both wrong and intoxicating, a stolen rush that leaves me breathless and hollow all at once. When it's over, I'm scrambling to adjust my clothes, my hands shaky, my breath still ragged. The weight of what I've done crashes over me like a tidal wave. Shame burns hot in my chest, mingling with the fading thrill, and I'm terrified Jake will turn around any second and see the truth written. I push open the door of the SUV, the cool metal of the handle grounding me for just a split second before my feet hit the gravel on the side of this forgotten forest road. My legs feel like they're made of jelly, trembling beneath me as I try to steady myself. Each step toward Jake feels heavier than the last, like I'm wading through quicksand, the weight of what just happened in the back seat pressing down on my chest. I can still feel the heat of Ryan's touch lingering on my skin, a phantom sensation that makes my stomach twist with guilt. I swallow hard, forcing my face into something resembling normalcy, though I'm sure the shame is etched into every line of my expression. Jake is crouched by the wheel, his broad shoulders hunched as he wrestles with the tire. Sweat beads on his brow, catching the dim light filtering through the dense canopy above. The air out here is thick with the scent of rubber and grease, a sharp contrast to the earthy dampness of the forest that surrounds us. Those towering trees seem to close in, their silence oppressive, like they're watching, judging. Every breath I take feels like it's amplifying the chaos in my mind, the memory of stolen moments just minutes ago replaying in vivid detail. I can't shake the feeling that the woods themselves know what I've done, that they're whispering accusations in the rustle of their leaves. I clear my throat, the sound too loud in the stillness, and manage to croak out, "Hey, how's the tire change going?" My voice pitches unnaturally high, betraying the nerves I'm trying so hard to hide. Jake doesn't even look up. He just grunts, a short, clipped sound, his focus glued to the lug nuts he's tightening with a wrench. That silence from him, it's not normal. Jake's always been the type to fill the quiet with a quip or a reassuring word, even when he's frustrated. But now, there's nothing. He doesn't meet my eyes, doesn't offer a single glance. His jaw is set tight, a hard line that makes my stomach churn with dread. I stand there, shifting from one foot to the other, my hands fidgeting at my sides as I wonder if he heard something. Did a sound carry through the cracked window? Does he suspect? My mind spirals, paranoia creeping in like a shadow. Every tiny noise, the snap of a twig, the faint whistle of wind through the branches, feels like a pointed finger, like the world itself is calling me out. I try to focus on something, anything else. The way the gravel crunches under my boots, the faint ache in my legs from sitting too long. But my eyes keep darting to Jake, searching for a clue in the way he moves, the way he avoids me. His silence is a wall, and I'm trapped on the wrong side of it. My heart thuds painfully, each beat a reminder of the secret I'm carrying, a secret that feels like it's burning a hole right through me. I want to say something, to break this unbearable tension, but the words stick in my throat. What could I even say that wouldn't sound like a lie? Finally, after what feels like an eternity, Jake finishes. He stands up, wiping his hands on a rag, the motion slow and deliberate. I wait for him to turn to me, to flash that familiar grin, or mutter something about the hassle of roadside repairs. But he doesn't. His gaze slides right past me, cold and distant, landing on the SUV where Ryan is still sitting in the back. I follow his line of sight, my pulse spiking as I catch a glimpse of Ryan through the window, his face unreadable, his posture too casual for the storm brewing inside me. Jake's expression doesn't change, but there's something in the way he lingers on that view, something that makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Does he see something I don't? Does he know? Without a word, Jake gestures toward the car, and I nod mutely, my throat dry as sandpaper. We all climb back into the SUV, the doors slamming shut with a finality that makes me flinch. I'm sitting in the front seat of the SUV again, the leather cold against my skin, my hands clenched in my lap as the tension in the car feels like a living thing, suffocating and relentless. The forest outside is darker now, the last slivers of daylight slipping away, casting long, jagged shadows across the dashboard. Jake is in the driver's seat beside me, his hands gripping the steering wheel, even though the engine's still off. His silence is deafening, a stark contrast to the man I've known for years, the one who always had a word or a look to ease any moment. But not now. Now there's just this wall between us, built from something I can't quite name but can feel pressing against my chest. Then he speaks, his voice low and deliberate, cutting through the stillness like a blade. Do it again. My breath stops. My heart slams against my ribs, and for a moment, I'm sure I've misheard him. I turn my head slowly, searching his face, hoping, praying for a hint of a joke, a crack in that stone-cold expression. But there's nothing. Just his hard, unyielding stare, his eyes fixed on the windshield, not even glancing my way. It's like he's looking through me, or maybe at something far beyond this cramped, suffocating space. My mind reels, spinning in 1,000 directions at once. What does he mean? Does he know what happened earlier? Is this some kind of test, a trap to see if I'll confess? Or is this something else entirely, something darker I can't even begin to understand? In the back seat, I hear Ryan shift, the faint creak of the leather under him, breaking the stunned silence that's fallen over us. I don't dare look at him, but I can feel his presence, heavy and uncertain. The confidence he carried earlier, that smooth, reckless charm, seems to have drained away. There's a hesitation in the air now, a tension radiating from him that mirrors the storm raging inside me. He doesn't say a word, doesn't protest or question Jake's command, and that silence from him feels like a betrayal of its own, leaving me to grapple with this alone. My stomach churns with a mix of disgust and fear, the weight of Jake's words sinking deeper with every passing second. Disgust at the idea of stepping back into that forbidden space, of crossing a line I've already shattered once today. Fear of what Jake's motives could be, why he's pushing this, what he hopes to gain from watching me unravel. And yet, beneath it all, there's something else. Something I'm ashamed to even acknowledge. A strange, dark thrill. A pulse of adrenaline at being thrust into this territory again, where every rule I've ever lived by feels like it's crumbling under my feet. It's wrong, so wrong, but it's there, gnawing at the edges of my thoughts, tempting me in ways I can't fully grasp. I nod slowly, almost mechanically, as if I'm not in control of my own body. It's like I'm watching myself from above, detached, as I unbuckle my seatbelt with trembling fingers and shift toward the back seat once more. My movements feel robotic, each one heavy with a dread I can't shake, but I'm doing it anyway, caught in the pull of Jake's command. I slide into the back, the air thick with unspoken words, and I can feel Jake's presence even without looking at him. He's turned in the driver's seat now, his body angled to watch, his expression a mask I can't decipher. There's anger there, sharp and raw, but something else too. Something I don't want to name, something that makes my skin crawl, even as it ignites a flicker of curiosity I despise myself for feeling. Ryan's eyes meet mine for a brief, fleeting second, and there's a question in them, a hesitation that wasn't there before. But neither of us speaks. We're both trapped in this moment, bound by Jake's will, by the weight of what's already been done. What unfolds next feels different from the first time. It's mechanical, stripped of any pretense of. As the engine roars back to life, the SUV lurches forward, pulling us away from that cursed stretch of forest road. The silence inside the car is suffocating, thicker than the darkness that now envelops the trees outside. I'm back in the front seat, my hands folded tightly in my lap, my nails digging into my palms as if the pain might anchor me to some semblance of reality. But it doesn't. The hum of the engine is the only sound, a low, constant drone that fills the void where words should be. I stare out the window, watching the blurred shapes of passing pines, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching out in the night. My reflection flickers in the glass, pale and hollow, a stranger I don't recognize. I can't bring myself to look at Jake, to see if his face still holds that unreadable mask, or if his eyes might betray something, anger, pain, or worse, indifference. Beside me, Jake's hands are clamped on the steering wheel, his knuckles stark white against the black leather, as if he's holding on for dear life. I can feel the tension radiating from him, a silent storm that threatens to break at any moment. In the back, Ryan is a shadow, his presence heavy but distant. I don't dare glance at him in the rearview mirror, afraid of what I might see, or what I might feel. The easy charm he carried earlier, the smooth confidence that drew me in, has vanished, replaced by a strained awkwardness that mirrors my own turmoil. He doesn't speak, doesn't shift, doesn't even clear his throat. It's as if we've all agreed to pretend that the last hour didn't happen, that we can drive on to Milwaukee and leave the weight of our choices behind us on that gravel shoulder. But I can't leave it behind. The weight of what transpired presses down on me, a crushing force that makes every breath feel like a struggle. My mind keeps circling back to Jake's words, those two sharp syllables. Do it again, echoing in my head like a haunting refrain. What did he mean by it? Was it a test of my loyalty? A punishment for what he might have suspected? Or something darker? Something I can't even begin to fathom? I replay his expression over and over, that cold, detached stare as he watched from the driver's seat, his silence more damning than any accusation. I wonder what he's thinking now, if he's replaying those moments too, or if he's already buried them somewhere deep where they can't touch him. I wonder what this means for us, for the life we've built, for the promises we made under a different sky, in a different time when I thought I knew who we were. The miles stretch on, the highway an endless ribbon of black under the pale glow of the headlights. The silence in the car becomes a living thing, wrapping around us like a shroud. I want to say something, anything, to break it, to reach across the chasm that's open between Jake and me. But every word I think of feels like a lie, a flimsy bandage over a wound too deep to heal. So I stay quiet, my gaze fixed on the passing world outside, my thoughts a tangled mess of guilt, confusion, and a creeping dread that I've lost something I can't name. When we finally pull into the hotel parking lot in Milwaukee, the neon sign flickering above us feels like a mockery of normalcy. We climb out of the SUV without a word, the cold night air biting at my skin as I grab my bag from the trunk. Checking in at the front desk is a mechanical process, each of us avoiding eye contact, our voices low and clipped as we handle the paperwork. Jake and I head to our shared room, the click of the door behind us sounding like a final verdict. Ryan disappears down the hall to his own space, and I'm grateful for the distance, for the chance to breathe without feeling his presence like a weight on my chest. Inside our room, Jake sets his bag down and moves to the window, staring out at the city lights without a word. I sit on the edge of the bed, my hands trembling as I try to. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.